SpaceX is one of the world's most valuable and important companies, but you and I can't buy a single share. The good news is there's a publicly traded rocket company that's gunning for a piece of the trillion-dollar space economy, and its stock has surged 800% in the last year. When I dove into this story, I was stunned. It begins with a guy from New Zealand who never went to college and used to work at a dishwasher company. Now he's responsible for 6 out of 10 rocket launches that aren't handled by SpaceX. If you don't make the effort to understand Rocket Lab, you could literally miss a moonshot. In this video, I'll unpack Rocket Lab's wild origins, its business model, and the massive gamble it's making to take on Elon Musk. So you'll leave knowing whether this is the next SpaceX or if Elon has already won the space race. Most space companies are run by billionaires. So how did a guy without a college degree stake his claim on the aerospace industry? Peter Beck's upbringing on the southern tip of New Zealand involved a lot of tinkering. One of his early projects was turbocharging his family's Mini Cooper. He later built a rocket bike and presented it to corporate executives. His career actually began at Fisher & Paykel, which was a manufacturer of appliances like dishwashers. This wasn't about passion, it was strategic. He used the company's sophisticated machinery to build rocket prototypes in his spare time. In 2006, Peter visited the United States to meet some contacts at NASA, and it led to his $20 billion idea. The private space industry wasn't just a pipe dream, it was inevitable. SpaceX had already existed for years at this point, touting Mars missions and building heavy rockets. But Peter saw a clear-cut market opportunity and an explosion for small satellite demand. The new space economy was creating a flood of CubeSats, Earth observation satellites, and communications constellations. Before Peter built the rocket that would take these devices to space, the companies who made them had only one option, which was to wait years for a slot on a large rocket with zero control over timing or final orbit. The alternative was paying $50 to $100 million for a dedicated launch on an oversized vehicle, which is like buying a freight truck to deliver a pizza. This market was too small for SpaceX's business model, but for Peter, it was a perfect beachhead. While SpaceX chased multi-billion-dollar contracts, Peter would democratize space for the smaller players. In June 2006, Peter founded Rocket Lab with this exact mission. Peter started off with his own capital, but he quickly attracted seed investment from a guy named Mark Rocket, an internet entrepreneur who was so obsessed with space, he literally changed his last name. Later, the New Zealand government invested too, and it led to an accomplishment they would become very proud of. In 2009, Rocket Lab became the first private company to launch a rocket in the Southern Hemisphere. A key part in Rocket Lab's success has been the design choices that have brought the company to this point. While traditional aerospace relies on complex supply chains and old school manufacturing, Rocket Lab created the world's first 3D printed rocket engine to reach orbit. Nicknamed the Rutherford, this engine could be built faster and cheaper. But it wasn't the only design change Rocket Lab made from competitors. They chose to build their rockets with lightweight carbon composite materials. They actually borrowed this from New Zealand's world-leading yacht industry. Most importantly, they designed an electric pump-fed engine system that replaced complex gas generator turbopumps, which achieved 95% efficiency compared to 50% for gas power. Peter used his edge as a scrappy startup to create a manufacturing advantage that heavyweight aerospace players couldn't match. Now, all he had to do was turn that edge into a business. Okay guys, before I walk you through Rocket Lab's business model, I wanted to let you know I just launched a Discord channel. So if you love researching super fascinating businesses, hunting for hidden alpha in the markets, and looking for the next big stock, let's talk about it together in the Discord. It's totally free. I'll be sharing behind the scenes info, what I'm looking at, what's exciting me in the markets, and it'll just be a fun place for us all to hang out. So check it out, the link in the description. But otherwise, let's go back to the video. Rocket Lab's business model is one of the most fascinating parts about this company, and understanding this business means understanding their financials. I'll start by explaining how they make money and then how much they're actually making. There's 2 primary business segments. First, launch services. This is the money the company's Electron rocket brings in by launching stuff into space for its customers. Since 2018, this vehicle has completed 63 successful launches, making it the second most launched US rocket annually. And last year, Rocket Lab was responsible for 62% of non-SpaceX launches. But here's where the 2 companies are very different. Rocket Lab conducts dedicated launches, not rideshare missions like SpaceX's transporter program. This is what gives them their unique value proposition. For around $7.5 million, customers get the entire rocket, control the exact launch schedule, and place their satellite into a precise, customized orbit. Their clientele includes NASA, the US Space Force, and commercial constellation operators who need this level of control. The second business line is Space Systems, which actually accounts for a majority of the revenue now and represents a genius pivot the company made a few years ago. Instead of just providing satellites a taxi ride ride into space, Rocket Lab decided it should also make the satellites it sends up there. They went on a buying spree of satellite component makers, collapsing the entire satellite supply chain under one roof. Now, a customer can approach Rocket Lab with just a mission concept, and Rocket Lab handles everything, designing the spacecraft, manufacturing components, integrating the payload, and launching it on their own rocket. The intelligence behind this business line is the vertical integration of it, and it now accounts for 66% of Rocket Lab's revenue. So with this insane 800% stock run that Rocket Lab has had, let's talk about the numbers that have made investors excited. Total revenue last year reached 436 million, a 78% increase year over year, and up from just 62 million in 2021. But the company's most recent Q2 earnings tell an even rosier story. Revenue hit a record 144 million, beating guidance and representing 36% year over year growth. Losses were deeper than expected though. Rocket Lab reported a $66.4 million net loss for the quarter, which is up 60% year over year. But the stock continues to rise because investors understand why. The company isn't trying to build a profitable business right now. It's making a gamble it can enter the big leagues of the launch market, pouring its revenue into the research and development of a product Peter hopes can make Rocket Lab a household name, and most importantly, potentially a serious competitor to the monopoly that SpaceX has. So why would a company that's thriving in its niche risk everything to take on the undisputed heavyweight in its industry? The reason is that in this growing space economy, the medium lift launch segment is where the real money lives. SpaceX's Falcon 9 dominates this market, generating massive cash flows from commercial satellite constellations, government contracts, and Starlink deployments. The National Security Space Launch Program alone represents $5.6 billion in potential contracts over 5 years. That's why Rocket Lab is betting everything on Neutron, a 43-meter tall medium lift rocket designed to deliver 13,000 kilograms to low Earth orbit. With that kind of capacity, Neutron is 60 times larger than Electron. The Neutron is being developed in signature Rocket Lab style, which is divergent design choices that can achieve efficiency gains. Similar to Electron, this rocket is built entirely from lightweight carbon composite. Second, Rocket Lab has designed something called the Hungry Hippo, which is a captive fairing that makes the rocket reusable. When the rocket gets to space, it opens like a clamshell to release the payload, then closes before the first stage returns for landing. This makes the fairing fully reusable along with the first stage. Another big innovation is Rocket Lab's brand new Archimedes engine, a clean sheet design capable of 1 meganewton of thrust, exclusively 3D printed and designed for a minimum of 20 reuses. Investors are betting on Rocket Lab because success with this rocket could instantly multiply its addressable market in sales, with average per launch revenues projected at around $50 million. For context, just 9 launches in a single year would equal Rocket Lab's entire existing revenue. But failure on this rocket could collapse everything. Developing a medium lift reusable rocket is one of the hardest engineering challenges on Earth. A catastrophic failure in an early launch would devastate the company's reputation and crater the stock. Financial risk runs deep as well because Neutron's development cost is estimated between $300 and $600 million. Then we have to consider that SpaceX could easily act as a monopolist, basically slashing their prices if Rocket Lab comes into the market and squeezing them out. After its stock run, Rocket Lab is priced at a 49 times price to sales ratio, which means it's basically priced for pure perfection. Every piece of news around this Neutron rocket will move Rocket Lab stock. And that's because if they pull this off, they'll be playing in the big leagues of the space economy. So what does a future look like if Rocket Lab succeeds? Imagining it today is critical to making your decision around the stock. The global launch services market is projected to more than double from 16 billion today to 35 billion by 2030. And Neutron gives Rocket Lab a piece of that massive growing market. At 50 million per launch with reusability, Neutron could generate massive revenue scaling. Let's say they start with 5 to 10 launches in 2026, scaling to 40 or 50 annually by 2030. At 50 million average revenue per launch, that's 2 to 2.5 billion from Neutron alone. And with the continued operation of Electron at 25 to 30 launches annually at 7.5 million per launch adds another 200 million. Then we can't forget about Space Systems, which could grow 20% annually to $1 billion by 2030. Combined, that's 3.2 billion in revenue 5 years from now. And if Rocket Lab trades at the same 25x revenue multiple as SpaceX at that point, it could be looking at a valuation of over $80 billion, which is 4x its valuation today. So to wrap this up, we have to ask ourselves a question. Can a dishwasher engineer get a seat at the table in a market so exclusive only billionaires have managed to play in it? Or is Rocket Lab one explosion away from a market cap decimation? No matter what you believe, this one's going to be thrilling to watch. Every launch of this Neutron rocket is going to be a massive media event for shareholders and short sellers alike. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, I know you'll like more of the ones that I make. You might really enjoy this one, or you'll also maybe enjoy this one a lot too.